I have been living in this not so small village in the Flemish rural area of Belgium. What many will call the countryside, but here we like to call it the dorp, which simply means the village. And it has taken me a lot of time to adjust. As much as I like to show that life is good here, I love the simple life, I love the slow life here in the rural area. I do not want to give the impression that life here is perfect, because nothing really is. My life isn't perfect, and in fact, life in the rural area as a foreigner can be very challenging, which is actually the main purpose of this video. I hope that by sharing this, it helps anyone who is considering, moving to the countryside or the village, call it whatever, just to know the challenges that go on, especially as a foreigner. So whatever I'll be sharing in this video is strictly based on my experience.
Good morning, birdies. Good morning, fishes. Good morning.
The first thing to consider is the distance. I feel like this is such an important information that should be stated in whatever handbook that is, given to anyone moving to Belgium or even Europe as a whole, because you need a bicycle. You need a bicycle to get you around in the village, and you need a bicycle to get you to the bus stop, which is basically the only means of transportation here. In a village like this, we rely only on the bus. And if I will let you into a little secret, it will be, don't rely on the bus. No, because really I have had the situations where I had to, rush with my bicycle, go there, and the bus didn't show up or was too late. So you need a bicycle to get you to the bus stop if you are going to eventually rely on the bus, or take you to the train station. So you always have to put at the back of your mind that there is a distance to cover. And I say this in terms of work, because obviously the big companies and industries are not in the village. Another reason why I said you need a bicycle is because, for example, where I live is about 2 kilometers to the bus stop. And sometimes you just don't want to walk it, especially when the weather is not so friendly. And of course, using a car for just 2 kilometers would be unnecessary. So that's where the bicycle comes in handy. Unlike the city where you have the tram and the buses, and you can, go by foot to wherever you want to go to. So to get to the city or wherever I'm going to, I ride my bicycle and park it in the train station. That's when the journey begins. I get a train and then get to the city, and then if I still need to cover a distance, I will then take a tram or the bus. And also you might need a car, and I say this in terms of emergency. So like I said, where I live is like quite a distance from the bus stop. You don't want to wait for the bus in the middle of the night, for example, if you want to get to the hospital or just somewhere, an emergency. So at the end of the day, you might need a car aside your bicycle, which is your best friend, by the way. I do not have a social life anymore, and I say this shamelessly or shamefully, I don't even know. Now, I come from the capital city of Nigeria, and we Nigerians are known to be outgoing and expressive, just to mention a few. I used to be this girl who used to run away from fun to now this person who is always seeking fun. Of course, I'm getting used to the no social life, and one of the reasons also why there is no social life in the rural area is because where I live, we do not have many hangout spots for adults. There are no many cafes to go to. Luckily, we now have a playground for kids and youth, which I find amazing. But we adults, if you're like me who just want to, go out and hang out, I'm sorry to disappoint you, that doesn't exist in the village. So to really get an activity to do, you have to go outside the village, and that can be time consuming and also a bit challenging. There are also less new faces in the village. People who move to another country would obviously choose the city because it's easier, in terms of transportation, work and social life instead of coming to the rural area. Maybe it would have been easier for me to cope if I had lived in the city, when I moved here. Who knows? It gets really lonely. I remember moving here, and my first 2 months, I was inside, like I was indoors. I didn't come out, except I was just coming out to step into the car to wherever I'm being driven to. But for the first 2 months, I was indoors, and I don't know why. It just felt different. It felt like I have been dropped into this open space, yet I felt like a prisoner. And that's because nothing seemed familiar. And in a place where nothing seems familiar, it is so easy to shrink into an unrecognized version of yourself. To be honest, it's even a bit sad to say, because I noticed that during the pandemic, during the lockdown, that nothing really has changed in my life. And that's sad. I find it a pity, because I'm in this phase where I'm trying to understand if I'm really a complete introvert or I have just got into the, lonely life, the no fun life. So I'm most times by myself. And honestly speaking, if I don't step out for a walk, I wouldn't see people. Again, maybe it's because of where my home is situated, surrounded with so much nature and less people, compared to where I'm coming from, that is quite a difference. I used to feel seen also in my first year here. I was the only woman who looks like me, if you understand what I mean. Until I later met a Nigerian man and connected with him. So I used to be this black woman who just goes on her bike. I feel like everybody could see me. It was something I had never experienced before. My blackness was glaring. I became aware that I am African and I am a stranger here. Sometimes you smile, you flash a smile at some stranger on the road and they just look at you like this. I think I used to be frustrated by that. There are also very kind people you can meet when you go out for a walk or on your bicycle. But in the first years, I found it so difficult to just have a connection with any human being. And I remember I would go out with my husband and I would be so quiet. And he will ask me when we come back home, "You understood everything they were saying, right?" I did. I do now. I thought it was a language, but no, I have learned the language. So it's really not the language. It's just hard to explain. It's like you always feel like out of place. Over the years, there are now, a few people who look like me, a few Africans who are moving to the village, which I find encouraging. Yay! And I think I felt out of place because we Nigerians have this saying that if you go somewhere and you do not find a Nigerian, run. So it's like I was asking myself, am I in the right place? Am I in the right place? Is this really, really where I'm going to be living for the rest of my life, So yeah, it was kind of challenging the first year. I have coped, of course, and I'm still here, still living in my amazing village. The longing. This one is probably the toughest challenge I have had to face. And I know this may sound insignificant because it's just, your sense of taste. What do you do with the longing that still lingers, even after how many years of learning the Belgian cuisine and a different new ones? I still long for that African meal, something spicy, especially in winter. And it's such a pity because sometimes you just want to satisfy something as simple as a craving and you can't, simply because it is out of reach. I find it a pity. So there are no African shops close by, not even in the town close to this village. Neither are there African salons. So even my hair, I had to learn how to make my hair. And sometimes when I think of the journey of just traveling to the city to buy one meal I'm craving for, I just don't go. I never really thought of that, the privilege of just walking into the supermarket or going to the market nearby to grab a few groceries, something you have grown up, with, a taste that you've been used to as a child. And then now it's like luxury. You have to go all the way to find it. And for the salons, I can understand because there are not many Africans around here, so it would be a waste to just, open salons specifically for the few people who are here. It can be really quiet here, which is nice, for my writing, but otherwise you just don't see people passing from your balcony or from the window. You want to see human beings, but here I am used to the birds, the squirrels, the rabbits, the ducks, the chickens, you name it. Those are my friends, by the way. I hope this answers some of the questions that I get about what it feels like to live here as a foreigner. I have shot this video 6 times. I hope this one works.